Swatting's for everyone. Write that shit down. Swatting's for all.
There's your next Rabbit Troop Suck shirt.
Swatting's for all.
Swatting's for all.
Yeah.
Christmas swatting.
Well, that probably brings us back to a good grand old place. Welcome back to Rabbit Troop Sucks, and you're on a very, 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 very special holiday edition. We are covering, thank God, Collin, we are covering Home Alone 2, Lost in New York from 1992. I never really thought this day would come. I'll just go to quick introductions, etc. We are a podcast about obscure, forgotten about, and often overlooked films. And I think a lot of people are going to immediately assume, how does any of this fit the bill? And Collin opened the door for us. And I'm not making fun of Collin by any means. Collin had not seen this film. And that opened the door that this has been an overlooked film for Collin and a holiday tradition for, I know, me, Lamar, and Mike.
Yeah.
As always, I am your host, Paul. Next to me is our co-host, Mike.
Hello. I don't know why I keep singing in that weird.
I'm gonna do a remix. Collin's next to Mike.
Hey.
We got Jeremy,
like a normal person.
Moshi.
And we got Lamar.
What's up?
Hi.
What's up?
You know, I was doing some counting, and Lamar and I were talking about this earlier. I think this might be year 19 of the three of us watching this movie. Lamar said he might have missed a couple years.
Oh yeah, I think we all missed a couple years. Oh, together that is.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a couple years I maybe watched Home Alone 2. So those years were forgotten.
Well,
yeah.
And
I mean, I gotta admit, it's kind of mind-boggling that Collin has not seen this, because, like, I think so many people watch Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2 over the holidays.
So I know the answers to this, and, you know, I wanted to know this personally before we watched the movie together. So, Collin, I'll give you a quick interview. Collin, you have seen Home Alone 1.
Yeah, totally.
And you said you have liked it.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. I think that's just a great backdrop to know going into this movie, because if anyone is against this, I would argue that this movie is very on par to the first one. Our more recent guest, Mario, and I were talking about this movie, and he said he likes this one better. And I think a lot of people are going to argue that they might like this one better than
I
the
like
first
this one better.
There we go.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. Let me just open with a quick summary. 1 year after Kevin McCallister was left home alone and held to defeat a pair of bumbling burglars, he accidentally finds himself stranded in New York City, and the same criminals are not far behind. And that's very true. 1992, Home Alone 2. We've got crazy powerhouses behind this movie. Clearly, we have writer John Hughes. What can't we say? We have Home Alone, we have Uncle Buck, we have Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, we have The Breakfast Club, we have The Great Outdoors, we have many things. We have director Chris Columbus, who is also the director of Home Alone 1 from 1990. He is the director of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and he is the writer of The Young Sherlock Holmes and The Goonies. Holy crap. So we've got a little team involved. Clearly, we have Macaulay Culkin. He is back. Joe Pesci. I'm going to say it right up front. My favorite character of this entire film, Daniel Stern. We have Catherine O'Hara. We have John Hurd. And we have a whole cast of other people, including people like Kieran Culkin, Macaulay Culkin's brother, Tim Curry, and others that we'll talk about. Rob Schneider. Colin's here, so Rob Schneider's clearly in this film. He cannot escape. And we have Brenda Fricker as Pigeon Lady, which we'll get to. We have a lot of people. The way I want to open this is, though, Jeremy had to be here for this. I would not have let this go if Jeremy was actually not here for this. So Jeremy and I, as noted, went to junior high and high school together. And Jeremy and I were the first graduating class, like 8th graders, of a brand new school in Missouri. So on 2 occasions, and Mike is going to love this, if he does not remember the second movie, I will tell him. On 2 occasions, our school, one for winter break and one us going into summer break, they're like, we're just doing a field trip and you're going to go see some movies. We're like, okay. And I remember for this, Jeremy, we had to vote, like as a class, we had to vote which movie we wanted to see. I don't remember, but it was like a handful of 4 movies. And it was like, do you want to see Home Alone 2? Remember, we're 8th graders. And one of the other movies was Lost in Yonkers. And I just think like, wow, there's some art teacher out there like real hoping like, the kids just really might want to see Lost in Yonkers instead of Home Alone 2.
Wow.
We clearly saw Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
Mike, the pre-summer jamboree, so the second movie we saw was Hot Shots Part 2.
Nice.
As a field trip. I sat next to Jeremy in 1992 and saw Home Alone 2 in a theater on a school field trip. We were all given popcorn and drinks and just told, behave, don't throw stuff, don't go crazy, have fun in Home Alone 2. And that's bananas. Like, that was our field trip. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great field trip.
You know what's crazy? Lost in Yonkers has the same IMDb score and a better Rotten Tomato score than Home Alone 2.
I've still yet to see that movie.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe we're all overlooking Lost in Yonkers.
Home Alone 2, really, like that. In 1992, the movie that really got overshadowed was Lost in Yonkers.
Yeah.
There's that art teacher somewhere was like, I told those little bastards. I tried to persuade them, and they're all like, oh, suck brick, kid. That's all it's about. Yeah, so, yeah, that's crazy. So this movie opens much like... This is just like weird for me to talk about this movie. I never really thought Home Alone 2 would be on our radar, even though we've done a little more mainstream films with the argument that maybe other generations haven't seen them. Home Alone 2 is just so popular. I agree. Like, I am surprised Collin did not see this movie, because I do feel Home Alone 1 and 2 they're so interlinked that I feel most people... Maybe it's just I'm blinded with Lamar and Mike next to me, that most people, i.e. us, are like, oh yeah, Home Alone 2, like today, we'll watch Home Alone 2, or Home Alone 1 today. Home Alone 2, we'll just watch it next week, or, right now, or whatever, it's consecutively.
I would kind of challenge our listeners to write in and say what's more crazy, to not have ever seen this, or to watch it every year for 20 years straight.
The answer is to have never seen it.
I have to ask you, Collin, because it's kind of on everybody's watch list. I can't say everybody, but it's kind of iconic for people that have a list of movies to watch in Christmas, and I think Home Alone 2 is just on a lot of people's list. How have you avoided this movie for so long?
I don't know. I think it's like we usually do a lot of Halloween movies. Like we do a lot of the horror and Halloween movies, and then we don't really do any Thanksgiving or Christmas movies regular anyway. Yeah. So since none of them are really like on a regular watch list, it just doesn't really.
Do you have a Christmas list rotation of movies that you do every year, or you just don't do that thing?
Just don't really do it. Yeah.
I hear that.
Yeah, I mean, as a blasphemer, how do you feel?
Damn.
No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, I totally the Halloween films. No, I totally get it.
Yeah.
I just feel it kind of rolls seasonally for me. So like, I think over the years, more and more Christmas films have been like that for me, but I don't feel I initially started that way. Like, I watched A Christmas Carol or A Christmas Story every year, and that's been like it. But then that's grown.
Like you and I watched A Christmas Story 3 times in a row at a bar one night.
That's totally true. Yeah. What bar was it?
It was at Wyman's.
Oh, it was at Wyman's? Yeah. Hey, shout out to Wyman's.
About to say, it sounds
We watched
like
Christmas Story for three nights in a row. They charged us like $4. That I get out of here, you pitiful saps. And we're like, all right, here's a bunch of tip money, and they're like, that's what I'm talking
What
about.
about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
That would be my second. Like, I would put that on rotation too as well.
I do love that movie.
I think everybody has maybe 3 movies that they put on a rotation.
Well, one of my favorite moments actually with this movie is my father-in-law. I was visiting my wife's family during the holidays, and I think it might have been Christmas Eve, and they just had like literally like a random channel on, and then I started watching a little bit, and it was Home Alone 2, and my father-in-law was like, "Oh, do you like this?"
Do you mean your father?
My father-in-law was like, "Oh, do you like this movie?" I was like, "Yes, I love Home Alone 2." And he kind of chuckled like, "These movies are so ridiculous." I was like, "I know, but I really do love them." And he's like, "Yeah." And he wrote it off for a moment, but he just sat next to me. And then for the next 35 minutes, he didn't say a word and honestly just watched the movie. And it's clearly in Home Alone 2 where they get to the apartment and it's, the assault. And he was chuckling the whole time, and he was like, "This movie's okay." But he was laughing the whole time. And my wife could testify to this. And so it was a lot of fun. I just like seeing him sucked in. My dad felt the same. Like one year he came over and we like literally was like, "We're going to watch Home Alone." He's He's like, okay, I haven't seen this. And he's like, this movie's like, actually, like, I forgot how funny this movie actually is. And I do feel both Home Alone 1 and 2 are a lot of fun. I don't care what any person on earth says. I'm going to make a huge defense on this. John Williams, who does the score of this film in the first, is probably...
It's the same score.
Yeah, well, like a remix score, but yeah, totally. He is just one of the world's greatest composers. I think he's turned 95, and he is just a gem on earth. And my wife knows this. I sometimes, on an iPad, I'll put Home Alone 1 on and just like really a dim lit screen and just listen to the soundtrack and go to bed around the holidays. Like John Williams is amazing. I mean, clearly, if anyone does not know, all Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Jaws, E.T., and it just goes on and on. So, yes, John Williams.
So, my thing about this movie is it is the exact same movie as the first movie. I mean, almost scene for scene with just different locations and characters. But it's better in that New York allows it to really have a more exploratory, like the cinematography is better. Like the cameras was allowed to get farther away to have bigger scenes.
Oh, sure.
Where the first movie, I mean, it was really took place in that house.
Right. Well, and they shot it in a school, like a school gym or something.
Yeah. Mike and I watched the documentary on the movies that made us. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And it's on Netflix. We've mentioned this before on this podcast, and the toys that made us, and the movies that made us, and I think it's the shows that made us. That I did not know that half the house is built in a gym. So all the exterior shots are there, and some are in the movie, but then a lot of the stuff that happens, quote unquote, in the house was a rebuilt house in a gymnasium in Illinois, which is bananas.
That's awesome.
I also want to just note, Macaulay Culkin has had a huge year at this point in time. So he's been on Celebrity Jeopardy. My wife and I watched this, and he did an excellent job. I know, spoiler if you haven't seen it yet, he does not win his round, but he really comes down to the last question with Rachel Dratch, who does win. And she just got a couple extra answers later on, but they both did extraordinarily well. Like I was like, wow, I wish if I was ever on the show, I would hope I could do that well. Like it was something to be proud about. And he just got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and he took Home Alone star and mom, Catherine O'Hara. So his wife, Brenda Song, and Catherine O'Hara, and I think one of his brothers was there. There's tons of photos. They're all like super positive. Did any of you see this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all like really nice. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good.
Way to go, Macaulay Culkin. Two kids.
Finally getting yours.
Yeah, on Celebrity Jeopardy, they noted this bonkers thing. I know I'm making it up, like what the real number is, but they said something like, you've been like a... celebrity question like 28 times on this. He's like, whoa, what? Like most people are like, we've used you twice, but he's been like 28 times a question, and they're like, that's kind of like a record.
That's awesome.
I'm sure that has a lot to do with like Home Alone and various other things, but I was like, that's cool. Yeah.
Well, I think they should remake Home Alone like they remake every other movie that's out there, except still have Macaulay Culkin star in it.
Yeah. We were talking about this. Ryan Reynolds, I think, had a proposal where he was going to do a movie where he just got like super blazed, and then people tried to break into his house, and while stoned, he had to fight him off. I can't remember the backstory of this. I know Mike and I looked something up.
Was it called?
I think it was like High Alone or something like that.
Stoned Alone?
Yeah, or something like that.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's
That's
not too late.
amazing.
It's not too late to make that film.
Is this a film or just like a weekend at Ryan Reynolds' house?
It's my fucking fantasy, man.
He just gets high and he's alone and people break in and he just film it.
Oh, yeah. That's what you got to do.
I don't know. Maybe they should just leave the Home Alone formula alone. I think it's been thoroughly explored, and I think if they do something else with it, it's just going to feel just cheap and dirty.
Yeah, it is called Stoned Alone.
Wow.
Where you just looked up like it was a proposed idea?
Stoned Alone is an R-rated comedy inspired by the 1990 Chris Columbus film Home Alone. It centers around a 20-something weed-growing loser who misses the plane for his holiday ski trip. It was to be produced by Ryan Reynolds. Someone had posters put together with Macaulay Culkin, but it died before creation.
Still could be made.
Yeah.
It's not too late.
That's true. I mean, what's Ryan Reynolds doing? Just what? I mean, come on.
He's
Deadpool.
I think he owns like half a soccer team.
And a cell phone company.
This is soccer team, cell phone companies, movies. Come on, let's do another Home Alone.
I have
With a stoner.
I have a follow-up question for Collin.
Sure.
So you were highlighting, you're like, we watch Halloween films. So is that like your family growing up? Is that you and your wife? Is that both?
It's like me and my wife mostly.
So what about your family? Did they watch any Christmas films?
We did. I think we did like the Santa Claus, the Tim Allen one. We probably did that one the most. The like animated Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Charlie Brown every once in a while. Some like other classics, just not Home Alone 2. We did do Home Alone a handful of times.
We were my wife and I were going to just throw the movie on the background. We actually had some work to do, but we're like, we could just want some like something we're familiar with. I suggested the Santa Claus, and she's like, ugh. And she's like, we just like watched it a bunch, and like we've always agreed that like Tim Allen is questionable, and like as of late, Pamela Anderson in her memoirs highlighted that he's a real piece of trash. I'm like, is anyone surprised about Tim Allen like not being like an accessibly nice guy? Like, none of that surprised. I'm not saying writing that.
He was a cokehead.
Yeah, I'm not writing that off as an excuse. I'm just like, geez, this guy just seems like almost in your face about it. Like, good God.
It's kind of funny you mentioned that. I just read recently that in that TV series, The Santa Claus, like some of his coworkers are like complaining that he's really abrasive on set. Like Tim Allen just doesn't strike me as someone who is really gentle with his coworkers.
Yeah,
he just comes strolling in.
Yeah, he comes strolling in, cokeheadish. Yeah. Not that way, but kind of close.
You say titty sugar?
So show me some titty sugar.
Oh.
Is that the new Christmas shirt?
Yeah.
Wear with pride and then go straight to jail.
Hey, it's not too late, all of you. You could get your Rabbit Troop Sucks t-shirts. We got some holiday t-shirts out there.
Yeah.
Holiday Rabbit Troop Sucks merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
I've said it before, but olive is the best color for the Rabbit Troop Sucks logo. Get the olive colored shirt.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a pro tip there from Collin.
There's a pro tip.
Yeah.
That comes straight to you from John Williams himself.
Alan will be your personal shopper.
Here's the craziest piece of trivia that is not about this film, but about the first one. Going back to the movies that made us. This is something that stuck in my mind, and I think I watched that like documentary series and that episode, I don't know, like 5 years ago. In the first movie, it was not done on a huge budget. Like Chris Columbus was not the first director. I can't remember the first director who was doing it. Chris Columbus, I think, is not the first director. Is he the first director?
Didn't John Hughes set out to direct it?
What, the official first director?
He wrote it, and then I know he... Oh, no. I think the deal was Chris Columbus was supposed to direct Christmas Vacation.
That's right.
Didn't get along with Chevy Chase, then was put on Home Alone.
Oh, boy.
But the movie wasn't done with a huge budget, and it's like very notable that Macaulay Culkin made like almost $0. Later in life, his dad stole it all, so I'm not even saying that like nonsense about his father. That's crazy. I feel terrible for Macaulay Culkin and his family and all that. But like he just didn't make a lot of money on the first one. It was like a lower budget. And I remember, I guess Chris Columbus was like, it'd be awesome if, if John Williams, did the score. And someone's like, we should just write him. And John Williams was like, I love this idea, I'm in. Like, can you even imagine? And I think the reason I really like the score of this, it reminds me, which he also did the score of, Indiana Jones, Last Crusade, but more specifically, the Young Indiana Jones segments with River Phoenix. It's a little more like lighthearted, a little positive,
whimsical.
Like a little more juvenile, whimsical, and throw in some Christmas bells, and boom, you got the Home Alone soundtrack, which I love. So, if anyone is ever debating the movies, Jeremy's right. Very similar soundtrack. It's pretty much the same. I would just count this as like the remix extended soundtrack to the first one, but I mean, it's good.
A couple of years ago, Paul and I went to see the Denver Symphony Orchestra perform the Home Alone soundtrack while the movie was playing. They just edited out the musical parts and it was performed live. It was great.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, I totally encourage people to do that.
Yeah.
They do it with Harry Potter too.
Yeah,
that'd be super cool.
My girlfriend and I saw they did it to Elf a couple of years ago, which was fun.
Smiling's my favorite.
Working's your favorite.
This movie,
Stuff.
as Jeremy noted, is pretty similar to the first one. But yeah, it being in New York City gives it a lot of breathability. You're able to do a lot more stuff in between rather than just going to the grocery store or battling the dryer and washer in your basement. You could deal with some crazy shit in New York City. Not much better in here, kid. Which we'll get to. But the movie does open up in Illinois. And kids will be kids. The McCallister Manor is full of...
Bustling.
Yeah, full of stuff. And everyone's going to Florida for Christmas. And, throughout the movie, it's always like, Kevin, why do you like Christmas? Kevin this, Kevin that. Mike is going in real life. Mike is, renovating the house that he is living in. And I always make these jokes around the holidays like, oh, you should have the same the wallpaper as Home Alone. And Mike's quote was like, yeah, great. I want a holiday house. But here's the crazy thing. The McCallister house is a holiday house.
Yeah.
Why don't they want to stay? The amount of decorating and tchotchkes in this house is like alone tens of thousands of dollars. Like ornate crystal like candle holders and like vases and like all this crazy stuff.
I can see why they wanted to go to France last year.
Sure.
That's great. Go to some shitty motel in Florida. The fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
why?
Their uncle really oversold that.
But why?
Yeah,
Why
you
did
guys are millionaires.
Yeah. Why did you
I know.
decorate your house so holiday-rific and then want to leave it? It's kind of bizarre.
Yeah. Let's be fair. They pay someone to decorate that house.
Okay.
I don't think...
To decorate it and then just leave it like that,
Yeah.
It just seems kind of odd. And I believe they even have the Christmas tree up and everything ready to go.
Yeah.
And they're inviting another family over, the uncle's family, and it's just they're all together right there. So
Yeah.
why not just stay there?
I don't know.
Maybe invite the relatives from Miami. Well, they don't have any relatives in
No.
Miami, do they? They're just
That's where
going
Uncle
down there.
Frank
just
went
to-
for his honeymoon.
Yeah.
I was going to tell Lamar, what are you cooking now, Frankie?
Cooking nothing. God damn. This family is so bizarre.
Yeah,
I
they don't know what to do
What
with
the
themselves.
hell?
Jeremy, have your kids seen this movie?
oh yeah,
Do they like it?
yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, my youngest son was in there watching it with me earlier today.
That's awesome.
And, yeah, like I didn't take any notes in this movie. I've seen this movie so many times that I like as soon as you guys reference something, it pops in my head and like I can talk about it.
Sure. I mean, sooner or later, Colin's going to learn about the father.
I didn't take any notes either. Paul has
Okay.
17 pages of notes.
I have lots of notes, and I
Jesus.
took it like a week ago.
Yeah.
So he's going to drive this pony.
I felt that you guys would have a very good interpretation of this movie, so I also took very few notes.
I think I'm taking it on Jeremy's perspective. I knew you guys would feel this way. I know Lamar typed up a bunch of notes. I basically just needed a timeline. I've seen this movie enough. I just need like the order of events in front of me. That's more of my notes. Like,
Right.
I took like a distant. So that's why I kind of have a lot of them. Like I have the order of events, but like very little reaction to it. And I was like this.
That's pretty much
No,
the
I
notes
could-
I've
yeah.
taken. My first actual note is standard Home Alone intro, people mulling about, you know. And that's my first line. And it's pretty much notes like that.
My first line is ding dang dong. And then for some reason I said, one of you put your pants on.
And then in real life, a lot of weird shit happened.
And then I wrote Treat Williams might know John Williams. No, I'm just kidding.
I want you to do some
related?
deep research onto that and maybe make the connection.
So you want me to do some Deep Williams?
Get some deep state Williams.
The double bills.
Well, yeah. As we were highlighting, the McCallister house is a bustle, and ding
Bustling.
ding dong, they're watching a game show, and in between there's a commercial advertising for the Plaza Hotel, which later comes into play. Kevin's aunt sent him an inflatable the bozo clown.
Yeah.
And one of the most iconic toys of the 90s comes from this. Kevin is playing with the Talk Boy recorder. There's also a Talk Girl recorder that came out in the 90s.
Anybody have one of those?
I almost bought
No.
Mike a Talk Boy at a flea market once. I didn't know if it worked, and there was no one to like really inquire about this. I don't know what Mike would have done with it, but I was pretty excited about
After seeing
it.
his movie,
I'm
you know
making
damn
hotel
well what Mike.
reservations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're
Mike's,
going to the
Mike's,
plaza.
Mike's going to be a father.
He's going to be his father.
No
every
problem.
part.
You got it.
Son of a bitch.
How much do you think a Talk Boy cost in the 90s?
$8,000.
I don't want to get too graphic, but now just hearing Mike say you got it, if that could be slipped into any of your bedroom talk,
Yeah.
I don't want to get more specific than that. Just Mike telling people you got
You
it.
got it.
And maybe an inflatable clown could come out too. I don't know. But yeah, Kevin's talking to his dad, Peter, his mom, Kate, Peter Hurd, rest in peace, Catherine O'Hara, and how he was making ornaments, or was that the first one? Or I don't know what they were talking about. I think he's just
It's
sitting
the same movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
yeah. I think the first one was the ornaments. He's just talking about nonsense, and he's recording this commercial, which will later come in handy. And they're highlighting that he needs to, or Peter, the dad, needs to charge stuff, and he unplugs everything from the wall and resets all the alarms again. Here's the one thing I want to note about the alarms.
It's the only clock in the house.
Yeah.
That's the only clock in the
Yeah.
house.
So in the first movie, the power goes out and knocks all of the power out, which is kind of way more intelligent writing. In this, Jeremy's totally right. They unplugged the one alarm in the mom and dad's room. You would think Uncle Frank and everyone else someone would have another alarm. No. Someone would just naturally get
Well,
up
they
at
were
some point.
they were counting on the millionaires to really.
That's right.
This
see
really
this
just
through.
highlights the theme of this movie in that Peter's family is a bunch of fucking freeloaders.
Pretty much.
They won't pay for their vacations. They're waiting on him to wake him up.
I'm also highlighting one iPhone in this whole movie. This whole movie's wrapped up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you have communique, you have alarms.
Yeah, you can't make this movie in an age.
What,
with
like
smartphones.
5 minutes, one iPhone just ends
Right.
all of this?
Yes.
Well, actually, they did remake it with whatever that new one was called. That fucking
Yeah, like
sucked.
Home Sweet Home.
Home Sweet Home Alone.
Dude, let me tell you something. If there were 14 people that I had to get on an airplane at one time, like we would sleep in shifts. Like, all right, 2 hours on, 2 hours off. People are awake at all times so that we make this fucking flight.
Well, I was going to say,
Yeah.
I already have like tons of OCD. So like I check my alarms. I don't have like set numbers, but I check my alarms like a half dozen times before I go to bed. My wife does the same. She's sometimes like, so tired, can you just make sure my alarm's set? And she'll just show me. I'm like, yeah, I get it. We have multiple alarms set. So I have a lot of OCD already going into this. Now, throw in the fact that 1 year previous, I left my kid in an attic. My OCD would be boiling over for the rest of my life. Like, I would be waking up probably every 40 minutes checking my alarm. So the fact that they didn't check it before they went to bed, I'd be like, oh my God. Like, and it's blinking, damn it. Your alarm's blinking.
It was a different time, different parenting styles.
Well, okay. Well,
Kids
let's
were more
get this
reserved.
family out the damn door. So they're going to some kind of ceremony and some performance.
It's a Christmas pageant.
Something.
Yeah.
It's it's pageant of sorts. And Kevin has a solo in the pageant, and Buzz, my God, Uncle Frank might have actually paid money to see this performance live. Kevin has a solo, and during the solo, every kid is holding a like plastic candle, and Buzz takes a secondary one and pretends to drum on Kevin's head and lights up his ears. All of this is really stupid. I would only imagine maybe a handful of people in the auditorium of like 500 people. Maybe like 3 people would laugh. But oh my God, the crowd is in stitches.
Oh, everyone loves it.
Oh my God. Like if you could pass around a basket to tip for school, now's the time. It'd be like you've trained all of your moment, little Joseph, get in there, give him the basket. Because like everyone would be paying money. Uncle Frank, who was asleep, is like clutching his sides. It's insane. Like, Frank, I just kept writing, Frank loves it.
Why are all these kids in the same thing?
I don't know. And I also wrote like, in real life,
it's a Montessori school.
Well, I had to look this up. In real
Fucking
life,
nerds.
Kevin and Buzz are only 3 years apart. But Buzz looks like he's 18, and Kevin looks like he's like
Really?
in elementary school.
I assume they were like 12 years apart.
Yeah, so Kevin turns around, punches Buzz, everyone falls down. Now we're back at home and everyone's in trouble. Buzz gives a half-assed, heartfelt apology. Everyone loves it. Frank is still laughing. Holy shit. Frank's like, I know, but it was so goddamn funny. I was like, damn, Frank, like, have you seen anything in your life?
Frank's got no shit.
This is the funniest thing Frank has ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
It was like an OK Boomer before OK Boomer was a
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
everyone is very impressed by Buzz's quote-unquote heartfelt apology. He leans into Kevin and says, beat that, you little trout sniffer. Collin asked for clarification, as one should. What did he just say to him? And we did have to say, he called him a trout sniffer. In part one, he does call him a little trout. When they're in Paris, he's like, the little trout could use some life experience. He's got a thing with trouts. But yeah, again, Kevin mouths off and he is sent to the attic. Everyone wakes up because no one has looked at the alarm.
I don't know if Kevin mouthed off. Kevin
he
stood up for himself.
Yeah, he told it like it was,
Yeah.
and no one wanted to hear it.
Yeah, he had a more angsty attitude though. About it.
I think the opening lines of like everyone here is like so stupid probably was not.
Well, he was right. They were all pretty
You've
stupid.
got to give a performance like Buzz. You got to warm the crowd up a little bit.
Yeah. He Perry Mason them.
If there's any lesson to be learned here, it's really just like Kevin, as a small child, doesn't have the ability to articulate exactly what he means in an effective way, which isn't his fault. He's a kid, and he can't lie like Buzz can, who has the experience to lie like he does. So it's just totally unfair for this.
Yeah.
And the first movie actually comes into play here too, because in the first one, this kind of exact same thing happens. Kevin's just mad that the family's mad at him. A year later, he's the same thing. He's still mad. He's trying to get his point across. Everybody's still ignoring him. He's just treated like a little, dare I say, a little bitch.
Yeah, I think that's probably a huge part of the charm is because you instantly take Kevin's side, of course.
Yeah.
Well, there's also this fantasy element that we're kind of skipping over in the film.
Oh, yeah.
So the bridge between part 1 and 2 is going to have the same problem that 2 is going to end off with. I mean, in this movie, how this movie ends off is fine. But in the future, it would be problematic, and this is going to be what I mean by this. There is no way in hell the parents never found out about these burglars who were burglaring the next door neighbor's house, the houses up the street, how the old man beat the hell out of him with a shovel, how Kevin was involved. There clearly would have been testimonies, court appearances. Someone said something about this kid. There's no way in hell Harry and Marv went to prison and Kevin's house was never mentioned in any capacity. There's just no way in hell. There's no way.
I never even thought
That
about
movie would
that.
not have such whimsical music, though.
No. The one thing that I want to note, I did read some trivia throughout this movie, is John Candy was supposed to have a cameo in this film. Negotiations fell through, and it just never was meant to be. I then kind of read a little more outside of this, and this actually made me extremely sad. That career opportunities in Home Alone were some of the last things with John Hughes that he worked on. And I guess John Candy kept calling John Hughes, and at a point in time, John Hughes was not even answering his calls. John Hughes, upon dying, I guess really affected John Hughes, and he basically stopped directing. He did Curly Sue after, and then just stopped directing. He kept writing, but I guess that affected him and their friendship, and I guess they left off on kind of not great terms, and that just made me really sad.
Yeah, that really sucks.
John Candy apparently was the nicest guy in the world, and it doesn't seem like John Hughes was outwardly a jerk. It just seems like they weren't working together, and it was hard for everyone, and it just seems like kind of a shitty situation. I was like, oh man, that's super sad. And then I thought, how could John Candy be in this film? And I thought about it, and I was like, if John Candy reprised his role, it shouldn't be that he meets Catherine O'Hara. This time he should meet Kevin. He somehow helps Kevin, but John Candy was never going to be mentioned between them. It shouldn't be when Catherine O'Hara gets into New York that she's like, oh my God, remember that time last year you helped me out? I think that'd be too coincidental. What do you guys think? Could it work? And I just mean a 5-minute scene.
Yeah, I don't know what that scene would have been, but yeah, I think it definitely could have worked.
I think John Candy could have been the
Yeah.
toy store owner. Something like that.
Well, I mean, he would have had to have been the same person.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I like
I
that.
mean, I guess he
He
didn't
retired and became a toy store owner.
I like that you're
He's doing polka at the toy
Yeah.
store. for Christmas.
Like you're fantasy booking this. It's kind of really like what could have been, but then we have like 5 or 6 different sequels of Home Alone John Candy's not a part of any of them. So it's just what could have been.
Yeah.
And I gotta admit, you paint a good picture of what could have been.
Well, I mean, I honestly, I have like no idea where there's no mention of where he would have been in. I wonder if like they even had an idea.
I could see like the Polka Kings playing in Central Park, like
Nice.
where like the ice skaters are
There you
doing
go.
like some Christmas polka.
Sure.
And he runs into him when he's running away from Harry and Marv. Maybe
That sounds nice.
something like that.
If John Candy was in this film, he would have to be in one pivotal moment where like he does actively help Kevin do something. And why I'm saying this is, as I said, I sometimes just listen to the John Williams soundtrack and go to bed. That's how familiar I am with this. I love the soundtrack. But every time it comes to John Candy's scene in the original Home Alone, where Catherine O'Hara is freaking out, and like a very memorable line, she's in Scranton, and she like literally looks at the ticket agent with like fury in her eyes. She's like, he's like, if I could do anything, she's like, do it. Then do anything. Do it now. She's like, if I have to sell my soul to the devil himself, I will get home to Chicago. And there is no effing doubt in my mind that she does not fully believe that. Like, she means it. And that's the scene where John Candy comes up and he's like, yeah, like I'm the Polka King. And there's so, like, I just feel like, oh my God, I feel they just filmed John Candy. I know I'm gushing. I just love John Candy and I miss him. But like, he's like, yeah, like we're driving to Milwaukee. We'll get you home. She's like, to Chicago. He's like, yeah, your son's home. Like it's Christmas. It's the right thing to do. And they're like, there's no doubt in my mind that's who John Candy was. And like kind of his memory is like, that would be the dude who's like, yeah, I heard you're in a situation. I will drop you off. It's Christmas. So I'm like, damn, dude. So that's why I think he would have to be that person in this movie. But I like it. You guys are saying like ice skating. He's playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That'd be awesome.
You do have a profound love for John Candy.
Yeah.
I also love Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. He's in a lot of seasonal films. I don't know if I said this when we did Volunteers. He's in a lot of seasonal films. So, like, he hits up kind of fallish Uncle Buck with me. He hits in Home Alone and...
Stripes. I love him in Stripes.
Yeah, he hits in Home Alone for Christmas for me. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for Thanksgiving.
Summer
Rental, and Great Outdoors for the summer. Like, so I just feel I see him in a lot of like seasonal films, and he's great.
Camp Candy. He's in.
I've watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with Jeremy at least half a dozen times.
Nice.
That's a movie I've seen many, many, many times.
Do you still feel it holds up?
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic film. It's I mean, just like Home Alone, it's like all cylinders click in the way that it's presented and acted.
Yeah. I feel, and so why you're like, you have a profound love of John Candy, I feel a lot of times that's on him. Like, Home Alone, not all on him, but like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, like, holy God, what a fantastic performance by John Candy. I mean, just different, like half serious, but so much like improv. I don't know. That's so good.
Would you feel like that Home Alone as a series would be different if he was more of a pivotal character in both of these movies, or do you feel like it was the right amount in Home Alone 1?
Yes, he's the right amount. I mean, I think the greatest thing you want, and as performers say, is you want to leave off with the crowd wanting more. That is absolutely John Candy's role in part 1. Like, he's so good. Like, every moment is just gold with him.
I agree with you on that.
And so, like, yes, like, would I want more? Yeah, but that, like, you did your job. And so, yeah, if he was in here for a moment, that would be awesome.
That'd be nice, but I wouldn't want him to overstay his welcome to where this is just a shot. Like, we just got to shovel in John Candy for this.
Well, John Candy's got some dope, roles in Career Opportunities, which I noted, which is like one of his last things.
Just thinking
that
about
movie's not awesome, but his role is really funny. It's only for a couple minutes, and he like hires like this guy on the wrong pretense. It's pretty funny. His cameo in Home Alone is amazing, and his cameo in National Lampoon's Vacation at the very end as the security guard is also amazing. So John Candy as cameos is dope as hell. Like, that's, you got a sweet spot.
Well, with the advent of AI, you can possibly have John Candy in Home Alone 2 with with just shitty fingers, you know?
It's terrible.
The best part about John Candy were his fingers.
Well, we're about 3 minutes into Home Alone. We're going to get him to the airport, and this is now where the problems are coming. Kevin wants to get more batteries for his talk boy. His dad's like, well, hold my bag, which has like $5,000 in cash plus credit cards and some batteries. And he's like, okay. And Kevin's like, I'm going to do it. And Peter runs off with the family, and they're not really paying attention to Kevin, as clearly no one does throughout the series of Home Alone.
Right.
They run off, and Kevin finally gets batteries into his talk boy, looks up, sees a guy who has the same jacket as his father, follows him, runs to the New York terminal, bounces into some ticket agents. Tickets go a-flying, or, you know, the people who are taking your tickets, and they just let him on. They're like, we're not going to check anything because this movie came out in 1992. It was probably filmed in 1991. That's how people rolled at the airports. Fast and loose, baby. They're like, just make sure his family's on the airplane. He sees the guy with a jacket, sits down, and then uses his talk boy like it's a magic device like an iPod, because he's just been recording all of these commercials, but now he's listening to Christmas music on his talk boy. But that's not how reality works.
Maybe he's just listening to those commercials.
I thought about that because when I was a kid, I had a tape recorder, and I remember taping like episodes of cartoons, and then like audio wise, and then when we went on road trips, sometimes I listened to them.
Yeah.
And it sounded like crap. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. I was like, wouldn't it be amazing if like you could listen to audio? I was like so like in a box. My imagination was so limited. I was like, oh man, one day I'll be able to listen to any of the audio I want. Like, not even if I had video and could watch it. Like if I could just listen to it. Yeah. What a world I would live in.
You know, the sad part, Paul, is I do that today with YouTube videos. Just play the audio like, yeah, I have it. So your past is my future.
Yeah.
It is nice.
This scene, the airport scene, is definitely like an advertisement for children leashes. Like, it could have solved all the problems. They the year prior lost a child. They should have just invested in the leashes. Sure, they would look like a bunch of Goombas, but they wouldn't lose their goddamn kid again.
Also, I mean, this is like ripping off a Band-Aid for me and my wife. I mean, this is at O'Hare Airport. I'm from Chicago. This is a lot of the times the airport her and I would fly into. So just people running around in mass pandemonium. Welcome to the holidays. And do you think anyone in the world cares? They do not.
How many times have you been at O'Hare?
Oh, I don't know. Like
at Christmas?
Like
I hate that airport.
50, 60. Like,
Shit.
yeah. Awful. Yeah, you're 100% guaranteed it's going to be delayed. Hopefully under 2 hours, but hopefully everyone's freaking out. Kids running.
Why anyone chooses to fly around the holidays?
Kids are on the ceiling.
Is just beyond me.
That is very true. However, people need to see other people.
No, they don't. You can just stay right the fuck where you are. It's fine.
That's true.
I do it every year. It's amazing.
Especially when you have the mansion that these guys left to go to fucking Florida.
Yeah. Well, they get separated. Kevin goes to New York. Everyone else is going to Miami. So there is a note. Like, I don't think that Peter's end is, I think they paid for it, but Uncle Frank billed it. It's kind of like subtext. Uncle Frank's like, this is a dope place. This was at my honeymoon. And when they get there, it's a total dump. Remember, Uncle Frank's a cheapskate. He's always been a cheapskate. Clearly, his honeymoon was also a dump. He had better memories of it. It's still the rundown piece of crap it always was. And it looks like it's in the middle of a monsoon, so it's even worse.
Yeah.
Kevin gets to New York, and I want to highlight something that Collin asked later. So first he meets Ali Sheedy. Sir, can I help you, sir? And she says weird stuff, and then Kevin goes in a cab. And later in the movie, Collin asks, where did Kevin get fireworks? And I wrote, step
a little
one,
Chinese market.
Buy fireworks. Literally right here. Buy fireworks. And it is. He goes to Chinatown, and I have a lot of questions. Who sold these fireworks to him? He just gets out of a cab and just starts buying fireworks.
They didn't care.
That's why.
This it had to have been the quickest scene, because I was pretty sure I was watching this.
It was very quick.
Very
quick.
Step two is he goes to the Twin Towers. Like, that's how fast it is.
Okay.
So step two is now he's seeing the sights.
So they buy explosives, 1, 2, go to the Twin Tower.
Correct.
Yeah, you cannot do that in 2020.
Right on.
A child's imagination. That's the real holiday.
Yeah.
That's the real holiday.
Before 9/11, I mean, you could really, children were just running free throughout the world.
And you can go to Chinatown and totally buy fireworks.
I can't remember if I said this on one of the podcasts, but I was at O'Hare Airport and I got there super early in the morning. And I mean, I was staying there with friends and I went there early. And my plane wasn't leaving for like 3 hours. And I was like near bigger food courts. And I just didn't want to be confined into a smaller room. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be by these food courts. And then like I'll go in like an hour and a half before my plane leaves. So this is pre 9/11. And I was flying back to Denver. And I went to one of the security officers who was at the security gate where they, like they wand you and they search your bags. And I said, I explained the situation. I was like, my plane doesn't leave for a few hours. I just need to use the restroom. Can you tell me where the nearest one is? And no joke. The woman goes, you could just go around me. So I went around security. She just goes, just let me know when you're back. And I came back like 3 minutes later because I just used the restroom really quick and washed my hands. So I was like, I'm actually, thanks a lot, honey. Have a great holiday. Just come through when you're like ready to go. Can you even imagine right now in 2023 that happening at all? Oh my gosh. But I went behind her because she just let me use the restroom. I had a bag, I had a duffel bag with me. It was great.
I can imagine in 2023 you get fingered and x-rayed before you can go behind there.
Imagine in 2023 that security officer is coming with me and all of those things are happening to that person as well. Like you're in cahoots. We also get a shot to the Miami police. So the Miami police are involved with asking questions because
I love this guy.
Yeah, because really quickly they never get their so they get to Miami and they're trying to give all the luggage away and they're handing it down. They're like, this for Kevin, this for Kevin. It's like, Kevin's not here. Catherine O'Hara freaks out. Now we're at the Miami police station and I also love this guy. He's all business.
The looks he's giving him, because he's like, well, has your son ever run away from home before? And they're like, oh, no. Like, well, has he ever been on his own before? Like, no. Well, maybe this one time. And he's just giving these, like, furrowed brow, like, okay, buddy.
This is a stark contrast to the first movie where Catherine O'Hara is like, oh my God, where's Kevin? And now they're sitting down like, I don't know.
Yeah, Lamar, I totally agree. I feel this is Catherine O'Hara's like SCTV sensibilities coming out. Like she's like, what? Like, but we never lose our luggage. Knock on wood. like your kid's missing, and you're making like these like weird jokes. And the police officer is not amused. If this was today, that dude would have them like detained for the next 24 hours because he'd be like, like their kid's missing. They're making light of this. They're knocking on wood.
Like we have poor holiday time management skills, which has led us into this situation before. Yeah.
He also has some seriousness to him. He's taking it seriously, but they're just kind of like, we've been through this before. But then they reach the point where it's like, you have credit cards? And they finally pinpoint the part where, well, if he has credit cards, we can trace him down.
Yeah. And, as the parents are making light of this, I was trying to explain to Mike and Collin that this is experiencing the nuts of the season. And then
you got to clarify that a little bit.
Paul has a lot of thoughts on the nuts of the season.
Yeah, people sometimes just during the holidays, you're like, and they've experienced it the year before. That was Home Alone 1. That was the nuts of the season, and the police officer clearly doesn't make light of the nuts of the season.
You can't forget about the nuts of the season. You got to handle it.
You got to handle the nuts of the season.
Yeah.
Where do you handle those nuts?
You said it, not me.
Alley-ho.
There's finally some guilt from the parents, though. I mean, they left their kid behind. Finally, just feel a little something. Like,
They feel nothing.
Before it was like, it's Kevin's fault. Now it's,
Well, luckily, in a weird world, simultaneously, Marv and Harry have escaped from jail. So Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern have escaped from prison, and they arrive in New York City via a frozen fish truck. And I do love how Harry is highlighting how how he could smell freedom, and this is a new chance, a new lease on life, so we could, do more crimes in a bigger city. And can you smell it? And Marv's like, yeah, it smells like fish. He's like, no, it's freedom. He's like, no, it's fish.
I would also like to know, like, these men were put in prison in Illinois. They escaped, got into frozen fish. Is New York shipping a lot of frozen fish in from the Great Lakes?
Yeah, all their imported fish is from Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the problem?
You don't.
I guess there is none, really.
You don't like dirty Michigan fish?
They're my favorite.
That's where it goes.
I love a good brown butter on those.
Yum. Valid questions.
That's all those trouts that Buzz is talking about.
That's a pretty good point.
Oh, yeah.
You brought that up.
Yeah, well, someone's got to be sniffing some kind of trout. Yeah. So, yeah, well, as I said, Daniel Stern as Marv is my favorite character of this entire movie, and he changes his MO. As we left the last movie, they're the wet bandits. If you don't remember, Marv would turn on the water and plug up sinks in all of the houses to highlight that he's going to ruin houses too. And the cops at the end of the movie say, great, now we know every house you hit because you've done that and you've just admitted us. And he's like, we're the wet bandits. But now he has tape on his hand and he's the Sticky Bandits. And the first thing he does is steal from...
the Salvation Army.
Yes, yeah, Salvation Army. And he just dips his hand in and takes like a couple dollars of coins.
The sound effect from the taking of everything with his hand is probably... the best part of this movie.
Do you want us to isolate that and send that to you?
Yes, please.
Yeah, that's some good Foley or whatever.
It'll be like every time I get a text message, it'll be...
The sound of Sticky Bandits stealing from Salvation Army tins. Yes.
This isn't going to go over well. This isn't going to go over as well as you guys think it is.
It really isn't.
One of you is going to get into serious trouble.
Yeah, do you really want a sound coming from your pocket that's like every time Paul's texting you?
Just my friend. We're on a podcast.
Trust me, it's nothing suspicious is coming from my pocket. Let me just reach in there and grab it real quick.
Yeah.
We also get a scene where Kevin is introduced to Pigeon Lady, where there's a woman feeding pigeons. She turns around, he goes, sick. And if it was 2023, they'd be besties because
that'd be a compliment.
Whoa, sick, sick lady.
Yeah.
You know the pigeons' names,
bro.
But this is 92, and sick is something else.
Yeah. Do you think pigeons have evolved? Like, sick as a word is now something different. What about pigeons? So they were disgusting sky rats in 92. What are they now?
Delicious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they serve them in the
squab.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're not getting pigeons from New York parks.
No,
what do you think? Sure? What do you think about pigeons in New York parks? They were flying rats. What are they now?
All I can think of when I think of New York pigeons is the good feathers from Animaniacs.
Chicken Boo.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Listen here. They're always plotting crimes.
Yeah.
I didn't see it going there, but that door is always open. I don't know for what.
When Joe Pesci was smacking those 3 pigeons at the ice rink, that's all I could think of. Was like, dude, those are the good feathers.
Oh man.
Yeah.
There's probably some weird crossover there somewhere.
Probably.
Maybe.
Well, Kevin also makes his way immediately to the Plaza Hotel. He listens to his talk boy because he's conveniently been recording everything. He's like, oh my God, like a beacon from God. I'm going to go to the Plaza Hotel.
Right. That's where the players of Celebrity Ding Dang Dong stay.
Right. And that's where he runs his credit card scheme. He talks in his talk boy and he highlights like, I want a mini bar and it has little candies. And,
Howdy do.
Yeah. And he says this all in, real time. And we'll explain what Mike and father means. But he's like,
father.
Yeah, but he highlights like he wants his little bar and he wants candies and he wants all these things. And then he says, credit card, no problem. And then he calls to make reservations at the Plaza from their own lobby. And he slows down. It's a feature on the Talk Boy where it slows down the audio. So I'm talking like this, but no, I'm talking like this. And conveniently, he answers all the questions. And so, like a weirdo, it's like, hello, I would like this bar with candies and a bed. And my name's Kevin McCallister. Not a follow-up like, can you spell that appropriately? Can you do this? Like,
no.
There's no in-between.
They have all the information they need.
Right. Can you give us the credit card number? Can you give us the last 4 digits? No. Okay, you're just going to have to do this all when you check in. And big things. What dates are you coming? When are you staying until?
Doesn't matter.
Late arrival, early checkout, none of that. Just talk to some people. You're welcome anytime. But he does call and slows down. He's like, "Hello, I'm Kevin, or I'm Peter McCallister, the father." Like, "Hello, Mr. McCallister. What can I do for you?" And then they check him in. And then he goes to the woman up front, who I believe is named Mrs. Hester. I had to do some research digging on this. And she checks him in. And he talks about getting into mischief.
I did that same research. I had to look up her name too and verify that.
Yeah, he talks about getting into mischief because sometimes we all do. And she's like, "All right, well, I'll talk to your father later." Go up, and he's like, "Oh, wow, it worked." And she's like, "What?" Nothing.
It's just that easy to commit credit card fraud at a hotel desk in New York.
Especially when you're the father.
The father plays a very important part in this movie.
He really doesn't, actually.
He does it. He's really barely in it.
Yeah.
Think about that.
That's true. One thing I want to note: we're introduced to Tim Curry.
Yes, the intro.
Who is Mr. Hector, or known as just the concierge.
So we have Hector and Hester?
Yeah, and it's,
right.
again, another person I had to dig up some names.
Is that a reference to something?
I don't know,
It
and I
should
think it's
be.
only on their name tags, so I
Yeah.
think that's what I found. So, and I was going to slow it down or pause it, but I do believe that's the case. It's Mr. Hector and Hester, and he calls Rob Schneider Cedric, but it's Cedric. And I had to look this up. His name is Cedric, but he's like, Cedric. Yeah. So the whole time. And he basically goes, follow this kid and we're gonna go check what's going on. He gets caught checking through his bag, and he's also tipped a hefty fruit stripe gum bar by Kevin. Then he goes swimming in a little.
Did you ever choose fruit stripe gum when you were a kid?
I loved it as a kid, but it only lasted, I feel, for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's it. 5 minutes and then you're done.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then you're like, I need another stick. Like a junkie. So I got a case of the fruit stripes. That's the nuts of the season. That's a product that gives you the nuts of the season all year round. Fruit stripe gum. A little trivia I read, the plaza does not have a swimming pool, so we're back in Chicago. We're in the Four Seasons, and that's where the hotel swimming scene is filmed. Boom.
Yeah.
All right.
They didn't need the swimming pool scene.
They didn't
Nah,
need
they
this scene at
didn't.
all.
No. We get Kevin watching Angels with even filthier faces, if you guys want to talk about that.
Yeah, so this is the sequel to the black and white gangster movie that he was watching in the first movie that he used to scare away the bandits. Paul's recoiling in horror
Mike
from
and
an
I are-
incredibly strong beer that he just gave me.
Mike and I are splitting a beer, and it is 1,000% booze.
It's got to be delicious.
It is.
Jeremy, it is delicious.
It transcends flavor at points in time. You become the booze. I've become Christmas. I can feel the spirit, and I want to share it.
That's the nuts of the season.
Yeah,
No.
they're right up there, right up
No.
in your mouth.
Before I drank this, I was experiencing the nuts of the season.
Is that what drove you to open up the bottle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the magic. That's the magic of, was this 12? Wait, I'm not joking. Is it 12%?
It's imperial.
Yeah, it is. It's 12.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
It's like drinking wine.
Oh my God.
And Paul is drinking his share out of a giant coffee mug.
Damn right.
A Harry Potter coffee mug.
How are you also supposed to drink it?
That's how Harry would have wanted it.
The nuts of the season.
The hairy nuts of the season.
But yeah, and so as Jeremy pointed out a couple times, because this is the same movie, they're going to use Angels with Even Filthier Souls in the same way they used it the previous one in Home Alone 1
Yeah.
to scare off some people.
And it happens pretty quickly. Tim Curry tries to sneak in one night because he doesn't believe there's a father.
Yeah, Tim Curry's been kind of suspicious since he saw Kevin walk in the lobby.
But Kevin slows his roll down by inflating the bozo shower clown and the recording of Uncle Frank in the shower singing Cool Jerk.
Shower clown.
It's a literal shower
This is an
clown.
inflatable clown that his aunt gave him, and it's for like the pool. And now it has become the shower clown.
And-
And why do you bring that to New York?
It was in his bag.
It was
in his bag.
Yeah, it was in his bag.
So in his bag was batteries for the Talk Boy, $5,000, an address book,
Oh, God.
and maybe some miscellaneous stuff.
Right. And an inflatable.
He's like a
clown.
drug
An
mule.
inflatable clown. And The quote we get from the singing from Cool Jerk is the break is Uncle Frank was originally in the shower and he goes, "Get out of here, you little pervert, or I'm going to slap you silly." And then Tim Curry runs.
Well, I mean, he warned Kevin not to go into the bathroom, or else he would grow up never feeling like a real man.
That was
Whatever that means.
That's why he has the shower clown.
Yeah. I also like in the recording of Uncle Frank, he immediately goes back to singing. He's like, "Oh, you're cooking for me." Yeah. I mean, so in any situation, your nephew walks in, you're screaming at the concierge. You just let it roll off you like the water from the shower, friend.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I also like that he put a shower cap on the clown. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
You gotta
Authenticity.
Make it authentic.
That's a good gag. Yeah.
Yeah. We get a cutscene back to the monsoon in Miami. Everyone's watching A Wonderful Life in Spanish this time. In the first one, it was they were in France, and so it was in French. And this time they're in Miami. It's in Spanish. They're in this rundown hotel. Everyone seems miserable. Kevin is we see him back in New York, and he's going through this address book that was conveniently in the bag with all this money, as we noted. He's like, "Oh, Uncle Rob." That was Uncle Rob from Paris. He lives in New York. Maybe I'll plan on stopping by. Like, that's convenient of him. So cool. I mean, his phone number's there and a bunch of other stuff. So, or if it's not, he could easily look it up or get that information. But yeah. Then we get some enchanting music. We get Christmas Star coming in at you with John Williams, which is kind of more the remix. I agree with Jeremy that there's all of the original Home Alone music kind of remixed, but then we get this Christmas Star music. It's a choir. Things get a little more serious for Kevin in this movie. He's a little more grown up.
Yes.
He's more mature.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't have anything to follow that with.
Yeah.
He is more grown up. Have we missed the Sunday bar yet?
I don't think that has happened. Or maybe we did.
Yes, we did.
That's already
yeah, Three Scoops Sign Drive-In. That was a little earlier.
That's
right before when he was watching Angels with Phil.
yeah.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah. And he wasn't driving.
He wasn't. But the next morning, he's about to get driven, and this is kind of one of my favorite moments of the movie, and it's just a passing thing. He leaves the room, and what's Tim Curry's name?
Hector. Mr. Hector.
Yeah. He's like apologizing, like, "Oh my God," because this is the morning after he thinks he walked in on the father in the bathroom, right?
Yep.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. So, we've got everything as an apology. We got you a limo and
a pizza.
A pizza. And when they open that pizza box outside, all that steam comes out.
Man.
That pizza looks delicious.
Yeah, it was like the best pizza on earth.
It probably was.
He probably spent the whole day designing that pizza for that shot alone.
Yeah, love that pizza.
I remember Macaulay Culkin had a podcast, and he very much does not like the memories of this movie, and I don't blame him.
Really? Why is that?
It was just like, he was like, I was freezing cold. Like, I was just being, carted around downtown. There's a lot of these outside scenes. It's freezing. It was during the holidays. Like, all I'm doing is, like, take another take. And, like, I'm sure he also looks back and is like, my dad stole all this money. Like, I mean, like, that was, like, implied. Like, like he got nothing from this.
Well, I thought he got nothing from the first one. I thought by the second one.
No, he got more money.
The second one, he got $4.5 million.
But then
he was the highest paid 11-year-old.
But then his dad, like, took all of his, like, family's money. Like, Kieran Culkin's, everything. Yeah, like,
what a bitch.
Yeah, like, he was his manager, from my understanding, and basically treated his kids like crap. Like, he would stay in hotel rooms, and then, like, Kieran and Macaulay had to, like, share a pull-out bed, and then he ended up, like, taking all their money. Like, terribly. Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, he seems like he's doing it.
That's why you never trust your parents.
I saw Macaulay Culkin here. He did a screening of Big Trouble in Little China, and he was part of his podcast, and I got to see a Q&A. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that was good. I was with you there. That was pretty good. It just kind of sucks that when you're a child actor and you just have no control of that, and your parents are just in control, and when you grow up and you realize, looking back, just what happened, it just all seems like a spiral.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. But fortunately for a kid, he goes to Duncan's Toy Chest.
Yeah.
And
because he has the nicest limo driver in the world.
Yeah, and it's basically FAO Schwartz. He meets Mr. Duncan. He buys some stuff. We're given 2 turtle doves as a reward because he donates $20 that he doesn't need because he's probably going to spend it on things that would rot his mind and his teeth, or maybe in that order. Mr. Duncan's taken with him. Mr. Duncan is Wally. Mr. Wally from National Lampoon's Vacation. Just much older now. And he seems nice. And again, he gives him these ornaments, and he's like, it's a pair. Give it to the other one to someone, you care about, and, they'll always think about you. And then Kevin sees that Mr. Duncan's painting is on the wall, and he just thought he was some rando, dude working the register, but he's actually the owner, and he thought that was nice. Then we're back on the street, and
I think it's scenes like this that make this one maybe a little bit better than the first one. Because he meets with the toy store guy, and then later back with Pigeon Lady, and they have these really heartfelt one-on-ones you just can't do in the first.
Yeah. Yeah, we only have one.
I agree.
And
with the old man.
With old man Marley.
Yeah.
The music changes a little bit. It really sets up this really kind of intimate one-on-one, growth moment. And it's oh yeah, this is where all the emotions are in the film.
And they're kind of playing you too because they know you've seen the first one. They know, hey, here's an emotional moment.
Yeah,
we got you now with the Pigeon Lady. Come on in here.
And that's the nuts of the season.
Yeah, it's the nuts.
This is the nuts of the season.
Will the nuts of the season ever meet up with the town cranberry?
Oh, that's good. You get a whole holiday mix.
Well, when they meet, you get the stuffing.
Yeah.
The holiday stuffing.
Yeah. We're back on the streets, and conveniently, Harry and Marv run into Kevin. This is a classic moment. He walks out of the toy store. He's got his new Swiss Army knife and a map. And all of a sudden he's like, hello, buddy, or whatever he says. And that's, Harry. And Kevin looks up and sees that it's Harry and Marv and just starts screaming his face off. And this scene for me 100% holds up. Yeah. Everyone in the street of New York City, everyone just is immediately drawn to what's happening. Probably because in broad daylight, a child is screaming.
Yeah.
Even Joe Pesci's expression is alarmed. He's grabbing for him and then shudders his hand back because he looks around and he's like, oh shit,
we're in public.
What do you think is going to happen? Yeah, exactly. I'm in the most populous city in the United States, and I'm about to snatch a kid off the corner of the most busy intersection.
Right. Yeah, I have no idea, but it's just an amazing scene. Kevin immediately runs off. He buys some fake pearls, which is very nice, and throws them on the floor.
Yeah, and we get the Home Alone fall is the name now for a style of weighted thud fall. Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yes.
And we have in the first one it was when Joe Pesci slips on the ice for the first time, and in this one you have both of them hitting those pearls and just going down real hard. Yeah, they would be dead in this movie 5 times over.
Yeah,
just back of the skull, crushed in.
Yeah.
Kevin runs back to the plaza for help, and Tim Curry says, "What? They wouldn't accept your stolen credit card." Kevin freaks out, runs back to his room. I like his first order of business. He packs plane tickets and cookies.
Cookies, yeah.
He's cookies that probably cost $50 a piece.
Yeah, from the minibar.
He went from the cookies first, didn't he?
Probably.
He opened the door, he ran, grabbed 3 cookies.
Also, what is he going to do with this plane ticket? Hi, I'm New York. I need to get back to Chicago.
Yeah.
Right. Well, he's a dumb kid. He didn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah. It was a different time.
Yeah. Honestly, in 1991, probably would have worked.
Yeah.
Very good.
Especially a child. I just need to get here. Oh, man, we made a huge mistake.
Yeah. And that's American Airlines going, please don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
When pre-internet plane ticket days, pre 9/11, could you not just get both boarding passes at the same time?
Oh yeah.
So he probably has a return ticket.
Probably.
But he would be in New York.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to get a ticket to Tampa so you could get his return plane ticket to work.
That might have worked.
Well, I think they'd just be like, I'm not giving you anything. Why aren't you in Miami?
that too.
Because your dumbasses took me here.
But since it is a kid, I bet someone would be like, just put him on a plane. Shut up and put him on a plane.
Yeah. Which is how this kind of
Kind
happened.
of how it started.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Kid, we're going to give you 2 bags of like roasted nuts. Maybe 3. We just don't talk about
Are they
this.
the nuts of the holiday?
That's the nuts of the season.
Okay.
Holiday nuts.
Yeah, some seasonal nuts and like one of those little pilot wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep your mouth shut, kid.
Yeah.
Where the fuck are we in this movie?
So he's in the room immediately.
Oh, that's right. He's getting the plane
everyone
tickets and the
busts
cookies.
in.
Yeah, yeah, and this is where he uses the
Hester
movie.
and Cedric and
Little Mo with the gimpy leg.
Yeah.
And Cliff, the security guard, is accused of smooching.
Smooching. Everyone's
No,
smooching.
no.
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
Yeah, Kevin runs out yet again, just running rampant. And then he runs right out the back door, and oddly, Harry and Marv are just waiting
They're
for him.
in the alley. They know.
mean,
Yeah,
he
they're
is.
right there.
I mean, I'm sure there's 50 back doors to this ginormous hotel. They're just at this back door. And I like that Marv immediately just rips up his plane ticket and highlights, what are you going to even do with this? Because you're not in Miami. Like Marv immediately identifies what I just noted. Like, dude, this is worthless. Good thing they don't get rid of his cookies.
Yeah.
Didn't think about that.
Yeah, but they rip up his plane ticket.
How did they know what hotel he was in?
Exactly, that
Well,
too.
I think they watched
They
him like
saw
basically
him.
run
They-
it, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. But yeah, they're going to take him to the park.
Yeah, and shoot him. They tell him
Yeah.
numerous times, we're going to kill you, and here's our plan on how we're going to rob a toy store, but we're going to kill you super dead.
They were going to take him to the subway tunnels originally.
Yeah.
And then,
Put him on ice.
Yeah, well.
put him on ice. And then they ran into that lady that smacked Marv the first time.
What I've realized transitioning, fall into winter, and when you're experiencing the nuts of the season, plans change, friend. So, I mean, I get it. Their plans changed.
Yeah.
You got to pivot.
Sometimes you got to pinch. Sometimes you got to pinch a little bit to change plans.
Yeah,
Pivot and
Kevin
pitch.
pinches some lady's ass.
Right?
She clocks Marv and then clocks Harry.
Yeah.
I did like Marv's telling of his the tales is kind of like the comedic, comical, cartoonish. Yeah, we're gonna do this and this and this. And Kevin is recording this, by the way, in his talk boy, as Marv is confessing everything that he's gonna do and everything that they're gonna do to him after they get away with it.
And then they rerun into a woman that Marv once saw that we skipped over, but he bumped into her before and got slapped. And this is kind of a genius and awful thing to do, but Kevin is being, grabbed and told he's going to be shot. So he sees this woman in front of her, pinches her butt as a child, and the woman turns around, punches Marv because, they met before. And Kevin says he did it, highlighting Harry, and she punches him, and he's like, thanks. And she goes, and walks off. And I was like, hey, like whatever the hell you need to do to get out of that situation. But that woman just like clocked both of them. He runs into Central Park, and throwback to number 1 that in the first one, Kevin vanishes and Marv says, kids are afraid of the dark. And in this one, it's kids are scared of the park. And he's in Central Park. And now we're back into the hotel in Miami, and everyone's still watching A Wonderful Life in Spanish. And then they get a phone call that Kevin's in New York. The credit card has been activated at the Plaza Hotel. The police are looking for him, but he ran off. The family immediately hops on an airplane, and Kevin is missing. But yeah, then Kevin goes to Peter's brother's house, Uncle Rob, and Aunt Georgette's. But the place is being renovated. He kind of looks in. And then it gets really weird for Kevin. This is a bizarre scene. So Kevin sees the gritty side of New York. And so people are like, oh, I'm talking to myself. I'm crazy. And they get in Kevin's face. And Kevin steps backwards. And one guy's like, where are you? Watch where you're walking, kid. Then a bunch of sex workers say, like, do you want me to read you a bedtime story? I'm like, why would they say that to him? That was super bizarre. He runs
They're trying
off.
to be nice.
Yeah.
He
Just trying to welcome him into their city.
I mean, it's a damn
a big apple.
it's a damn rare thing. Someone has pride of their city. Just wanted to show you the city.
Right.
It's a future customer.
So he hails a cab, and this is super. I've said this to Mike almost every year. Kevin gets into this cab and goes, boy, it's scary out there. And the cab driver goes, ain't much better in here, kid. And turns around. I'm like, don't you just want to like this a cab fare? Why would you say that about yourself? So then Kevin gets out of the car and runs off yet again.
I think,
and then he eats a cookie.
This dude had he had like 2 different colored eyes, like a scar or something. He's probably been dealing with it in therapy for months. He finally got like, the self-confidence to kind of laugh at himself and joke about it. Tested out on the wrong kid. Misses out on a fare.
You've just experienced the definition of the nuts of the season.
That guy's taking that cab into the Hudson River tonight. Thanks to Kevin.
As a former cab driver, I can contest that there's some customers you just don't want to deal with.
Did you turn around and go, ain't much better in here, kid?
I probably should have. It would have worked a lot better than, I'm going to shoot you if you don't get out of this cab. No, I never said that. I never said that.
It's like, hey.
But it would have worked better.
Drop me off at 16th in California. Ain't much better in here, kid.
The opportunity never came up to use that line. I'm so glad I probably should have never used that.
Oh, non sequitur into nothingness, Jeremy. But us watching this movie, perfect timing. It is snow covered in Denver, Colorado. What's the
nice.
weather? What's the weather like out there?
Today it got a little chilly, but it started off. I mean, the past week it's been 60 here. Yeah, low 60 and during the day, high 40s at night.
I'm hoping when this airs that it's white Christmas time, because this will be right before Christmas. So I hope this kind of keeps up.
There's not going to be any snow here in St. Louis.
I mean, I think last year is 60 degrees. One of my favorite moments
in Denver.
Yeah, I mean it was blazing sun, and we're like, oh. Yeah. One of my favorite moments though was, and I don't know if I mentioned it last Christmas, but Christmas fun memories. 2020, the pandemic, I had not seen Lamar or Mike physically in ages. And, we communicated online, stuff like that. We were still watching stuff together. But both these guys rolled up to my house, and in our backyard, we watched Gremlins off a projector, drank whiskey. There was snow. It was cold. It was the first time all 3 of us had seen one another, ate pie. And that was Christmas night, and I thought that was one, no joke, one of my favorite Christmas memories. My wife made this pie, she was coming out, she's like, my daughter was, kind of a newborn at that point in time still, very, very early in the months. And so it was a break for her. It was just a very chill moment, especially after no one had seen each other. So kind of crazy. But,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was nice.
I like that it was snowy. And it was just
that's
weird.
Awesome. I don't remember that at all.
That's crazy.
The next time I'm in Denver, I want Mike to come swing by the Staybridge Suites in a Winnebago and then pick me up. And then we all go out to a boxing match and almost get killed.
If those are the circumstances, I will definitely be there.
I can accommodate that. I'll rent it. We'll drink their whiskey in the Winnebago.
I'm just borrowing this. They don't know.
No, it's for my clients.
Well, back to Home Alone 2. He's now in Central Park eating cookies, and his foot gets stuck because he tries to run off as he sees the pigeon lady, and she frees him. And he runs off after he screams, and then runs back and apologizes because he's like, "Oh, you're not that scary." And she's like, "No." Well, she's talking. That's not really the dialogue, but he's like, "Do you want me to stop talking to you?" No. Am I pretty cool? Yes.
It's close enough.
So she's Jack Palance's mouth.
Hey, fella.
Come on, special agent.
Hot rod.
You got something to do tonight.
Hey, young seed. You want to meet the pigeon seed on the flow side? Well, he asks her for a hot chocolate date, and they go to Carnegie Hall, and sure as hell, they have my favorite talk of the conversation in the movie, or my best conversation in the movie. They start talking. They get to know one another. She was married. She had a family. This guy fell out of love with her. She thought about having kids once. She couldn't. She became now this pigeon lady. And he's like, similar story. I had rollerblades that I never used, and my parents in their Richie Rich house gave them to me, and I outgrew them, and you might outgrow your heart, so get over it. And she's like, I don't know about that. And he's like,
No, I do. I'm right.
I live with, a bunch of kids in my mansion, and I think I know what I'm talking about. She's like, yes.
Kevin, you're right.
And then he's like, I gotta go because you just told me I could undo all my wrong deeds today because doing the right thing counts extra on Christmas. So he goes and booby traps the holy hell out of Uncle Rob and Aunt Georgette's house. And
Who are in Paris.
yeah. And since he knows of
From the last movie.
and since he knows of the Duncan toy chest heist, he develops a plan, and then he goes and takes a picture of them robbing the place, and they chase him out, and they have a seesaw moment, and Harry almost breaks his back on a car, but breaks the car, and then they chase him in Uncle Rob's house, and this is where we got a core moment of the movie.
Yeah, I would also like to note that he does all this in like 2.5 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's better than most New York City contractors in terms of his capabilities.
Well, he got a lot of practice last year.
Yeah, he's been thinking about it for years.
That, and he's focused. The
Yeah.
contractors, they have to build a lot of stuff. All he needs to do is just murder 2 burglars.
I also thought this whole time, I think about this in Home Alone 1 as well, but can you imagine Uncle Rob and his family come back, or the workers that
Show up the next day.
Yeah,
like,
like the
what fuck?
contractors and everyone, like when Christmas break is done and they come back in and they're like, what, like people broke into your house, there's paint everywhere, kerosene is in toilets, things have exploded.
Who opened these 36 cans of varnish? Damn it!
This renovation bill just went up $100,000 minimum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
it's
we gotta
they can afford it.
getting insurance involved for sure.
Uncle Rob's probably like, sure. I mean, we've talked. There's a theory that Peter, Kevin's dad, works for the mob. I know this is the meme that goes around online. Like, how could he afford first class tickets to Paris and to send everyone to Paris and to live in that house? What the hell is his job? People have speculated mob connections. I love it.
This deep-rooted meme. I just heard about this the first time when you mentioned it the other day when we were watching.
It's been going
Home
on for
Alone.
at least a few years.
Wow. Wow, I had no idea about this.
Yeah.
It's pretty deep. And I can believe a lot of it. I mean, how else do you explain this vast amount of money and this house and these trips? What else?
They could just be old money.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
Yeah.
like rich people are only rich because of criminal activity.
This doesn't feel like old money, though. Old
Right.
money spends it differently.
Well,
Feels like death money.
Yeah,
Also-
old money doesn't give you fucking shower clowns for your Christmas present.
Old money
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
buy
you're right.
shower clowns? That's a shirt right
Harry's
there.
got the M burned into his hand. He's not the first person to get the M burned into his hand.
it also the reaction that Peter has in the first movie when Joe Pesci first shows up dressed as a cop, like that's the reaction of a mobster when a cop shows up.
Yeah, like,
Am I under arrest or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the first movie, his interactions with Joe Pesci, because he's like, am I under arrest? He's like, nah. He's like, okay, whatever, buddy. And he like walks off.
Right.
If there was a police officer in the front of my house, I wouldn't just walk. Like, why would I walk off? Who's supposed to talk to him at this point in time?
I'm
supposed
fucking
to.
leaves.
Yeah. So
Right,
weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
This adds
So it all
up.
connects.
But now we're in the crazy house.
We're in the crazy house.
Yeah.
Kevin is throwing brick after brick at these guys.
Well, the one thing to note is the McCallisters are in New York as well, and they do have their interactions with the Plaza Hotel. Kate and the family are furious. They're given a free penthouse. They're clearly not wowed by this. Kate, Kevin's mom asks, what kind of idiots do you have working here, Miss Hester? The desk clerk, yeah, the finest in New York, and everyone nods. Cedric, and Mr. Hester nod. Kate's super pissed. Mr. Hester, Tim Curry keeps highlighting, it's like searching for a needle in a haystack. She eventually slaps him across the face after they say stop talking numerous times. Says, okay, very well, bundle up. It's a bit nippy outside. And she goes storming off. Kevin stops by Duncan's toy chest as noted. And now we're at that fun house of hell. Just like number 1.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only point where Catherine O'Hara conjured parts of her character from the first movie where she was really angry and wanted to get her way. This is the only time where I really thought that this was the real character of her.
I agree with you. So now I don't feel this is the only time. I feel when she's in New York until the end of the film.
Okay, yeah.
Like now we're seeing. I totally agree with you, Lamar, that this is the original Kate. Because she is a little more skittish, or she's just not as strong. But when she's in New York, she is like all cylinders fire, like mom mode.
Yes.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, and she's awesome. Like, for the rest of this, but I have in order a lot of the traps that are coming. Yeah, there's a lot of bricks thrown. So yeah, bricks from the rooftop.
4 of them.
Yeah.
4 bricks to the face.
Yeah, Marv just gets beaten left and right. Takes the blunt of this. I do love the conversation. Harry's like, just throw down the pictures. We'll leave, and just another brick, all to Marv's face. The first trap is Marv tries to pull out the front doorknob, and a staple gun goes right to his nuts of the season and his nose.
Oh,
Yeah, he gets it.
very nice.
Front, back, and nose. Front nuts and rear nuts.
Again, to highlight, if you guys have not seen this for a while, Marv is Daniel Stern and Harry is Joe Pesci. Next, we get Harry slips in the alley on some of the monster goo that Kevin got from Harry's toy, from the toy chest, Duncan's toy chest. Then Harry falls down a hole in the basement at some point in time. He says, I've reached the top, and just falls face first right into a basement. There's no floor. Harry then gets a tool bag of tools unzipped to his head. Marv comes to.
2 bags of goo.
Yeah. Marv comes to, cracks his back, says one of my favorite quotes, "Wow,
What a hole.
what a hole."
I used to use that quote at work just randomly.
He slips on lots of slime that was left, which would be like 50 canisters of that slime. He slips into a bunch of paint cans, turpentine, various other things. He then gets out of the paint can eventually, erects some kind of half-assed ladder scheme, and climbs out. Harry's checking lights along the way, and he ignites a canister of fuel and flame to his head. I told Lamar, this is one of my favorite quotes. He mumbles, he goes, "Oh, you got me."
I didn't get that until this watch, which is, I'm so glad that if you watch Home Alone year after year after year, you'll discover something new every time.
You got me.
And this time, what did you say, Mike? This is our 19th
Oh, yeah,
time.
probably, yeah.
This is the first time I caught that. Thank you for mentioning that, Paul. Yeah, there's something new every time if you do this every year. I tell you guys.
Weird scene. Marv comes to from the paint, tries to wash it off. Kevin is in the basement with him, so how is he getting in and out with ease like this? So weird. But he puts some, what are they?
I think it was like the power supply for a welder.
Sure. He plugs that into the water supply, so Marv electrocutes himself and turns into a skeleton for a little bit. This is my
John Hughes spot.
Yeah, this yell and the yell later with the park pigeons are my favorite yells on earth. So if I didn't finish it, Harry also puts his head into a toilet to knock out the flames.
Oh, he does like some Mary Lou Retton gymnastics shit
Yeah.
to get his head
That's
in that
Jim
toilet.
Cotta.
Yeah, he does. He Jim Cotta's right in there.
Marv eventually does climb out, and then Harry falls off a broken ladder that Kevin runs up. Marv eventually, before he gets out, he does pull a bag of plaster to his head, which would have killed him in 50,000 ways.
100-pound bag onto the neck.
Yeah. He does get out, though. Both go up the stairs, and they are like, no, he did this to us last year. So some paint canisters come down, like in Home Alone 1. One comes for one comes for another. And then they actually do run up the stairs, and this big, bulging, like old school.
Like a lead pipe.
Yeah. But it's like, I mean, it is like a plumber's piping from like 1920s.
That would have killed them immediately.
So this whole thing swings down. They are knocked to the basement. They would have been dead in 15 different ways. But this is truly one of my favorite pain scenes. Kevin cuts it, and this pipe goes bounce down the stairs, and then like air leaps, and there's like hang time. And it zooms into Joe Pesci, and I'm going to have Mike deliver it. Joe Pesci just looks at the screen and goes, "No." and then you hear thud. Yeah, I think we've all been there in life where like you have one moment and it's like you could say something, but it's not going to stop whatever's going to happen. I mean, these scenes are great, but Daniel Stern between electrocutions being yelled at or yelling and such are awesome. Kevin does run up the stairs eventually. They do get up. He ties a rope to a tool chest that beats the crap out of them, and they go face to face against a wall and this door. And then Kevin goes up to the rooftop and then climbs down some rope. The rope is covered in kerosene. Harry and Marv try to go down as well, and Kevin lights it on fire.
Well, you get some kind of new aftershave.
This is the Jim Cotta moment.
Yeah.
Before they go down the rope, though, you do get Marv going, "Suck brick, kid!" throwing a bunch of bricks. He does not hit Kevin.
He threw one brick. He had a mountain of bricks there. He should have been throwing more bricks.
Yeah. I would have been throwing a lot of bricks.
But the way he missed, I can only imagine that he would only miss with all the other ones.
Yeah.
You just
it was just way off.
Well, I mean,
You
after
gotta
all the
keep
head
trying.
trauma, I think his peripheral vision is not great.
Yeah.
He's not focusing well. He's got no depth perception.
These two burglars do fall down the ropes. More, I have no idea. Paint thinner, paint, plaster, everything.
Yeah.
It's varnish.
It's
Yeah.
varnish.
All that's all over them. Kevin runs to a payphone, calls the police, says, "Go to Central Park. I found the guys who robbed Duncan's toy chest. Look for fireworks. Hurry, they got a gun." Kevin runs in and tries to run in and slips on some ice, and they both apprehend him. These two burglars are sentient beings sent only to kill Kevin on this earth. They've accosted him, and they are like super pissed. They're going to kill him. They have quotes. "I never made it to the 6th grade, kid. Looks like you're not going to either," says Harry.
Nice.
And then the pigeon lady appears. And I do like this. Like, they're about to shoot her, and they're so covered in varnish and goo that Harry cannot pull it off. "Shoot her, shoot her, shoot her."
I'm trying, man.
And she's like, "Run, Kevin." So Kevin just bolts, and she throws pigeon seed all over these two guys.
The seed of the season.
This is the seed of the season.
I don't like this. There's going to be so many dead pigeons by the morning.
Pigeons
Yeah.
are everywhere, but guys, who doesn't love the Daniel Stern scream here? It looks like a horror film. It looks like Daniel Stern is being eaten alive by these pigeons. You hear, "Ah!"
I will contest that several people wanted to rewind it just to hear that scream again, and it is glorious. And you will too if you rewatch this movie.
Yeah.
It's part of the season.
One of the pieces of trivia is that they did this to film the scene in like real life. Like they covered them in like this sticky stuff with bird seed, and then they used 300 different pigeons to film the scene.
That's gross.
Picking the
That's
seed
gross.
up.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
So are those real pigeon feathers, you think?
Probably.
I don't know.
Time
Like
will tell.
after the pigeons left,
You don't
yeah,
want
who
to know
knows?
how many pigeons they killed. In
When we get into
They have,
when we get the true 8K transfer of this movie, we're gonna finally be able to tell.
we'll find out.
Well, they're freaking out and then being accosted and eaten alive by pigeons. And Kevin goes, "Bye, thanks," and lights some fireworks and runs off. The cops show up immediately. "Geez, looks like the 4th of July," and they run into the park. And they apprehend Harry and Marv. They shoot a gun. All the pigeons fly away. I do like the cops are like, "Oh, too bad. You already missed the prison exchange of presents." And Marv is so sad. He's like, "Oh, we missed presents." Yeah, he's like, "Sorry, we used to be the Sticky Bandits. Now we used to be the Wet Bandits. Now we're the Sticky Bandits." And the whole time Harry's like, "Shut up, dude." He's like, he's just a little cranky. We broke out of prison. Tells him pretty much everything. The cops are like, "Oh my God, get them out of there." And then, we see Kate, Kevin's mom, on the street, and she is asking everyone, she has a picture of Kevin. "Have you seen him? Have you seen him?" She sees some cops parked away and, asks them. He's like, "No." And the cop's like really weird about it. He's like, "Listen, man, you just got to trust us." Like, if you're a cop, do you think any frantic mom looking for her kid is going to be like, "Oh, okay.
Oh, you're right, officer. I'll go home.
I'll just be at the diner getting some hot chocolate." And she calls him out. She's like, "Do you have kids?" He's like, "Yes, ma'am." She's like, if your kids were missing, what would you do? And he's like, I'd do the same thing. You just got to think, like, where would they go? And she's like, oh my God, I know where he is. And we go to Rockefeller Center, the biggest tree, big 30 Rock fans, especially Mike and I in this room. See it all the time. Seasonal. We got to watch some of those 30 Rock episodes. It's not
Ludicrousmas.
And we're at Rockefeller Center, and Kevin is just kind of apologizing to the sky. I wish I could see my mom. I know it can't be today, but maybe one day. I just want to say I'm sorry. And I'm not going to lie. This is my favorite scene of the movie. I do like that there is kind of like this, the shining of Christmas. It's the nuts of the season. It's the resolve of the nuts of the season. That there's always this connection, that she kind of knows that he's missing, that something's wrong, that she knows where he is, and he has an affinity for Christmas trees. I don't know why he would know about this one specifically. He seems to know very little about many things, but
he was standing on top of the World Trade Center earlier, so
pinpointed it.
I'm pretty sure.
He's like, I'll
he
find
knows where
that
he's
one.
Going in New York City.
I'll find that. I mean, he's on foot everywhere.
It's funny you say that. Just for shits, like I googled the distance between the Rockefeller Plaza Christmas tree and the address that was listed for his uncle's house. It's like 3.5 miles.
Yeah,
that kid's moving.
I don't know the layout of New York, but between like Uncle Rob's and like Chinatown and the Twin Towers and Central Park and all of these things. Yeah, he's got to be going in like really weird directions that are not. Remember, he's out of money now. That are not just super accessible. Like I don't know where he's going. Where the deleted scenes, him like scamming his way like a little scamp on the subway.
Yeah,
he's stealing bikes and stuff.
He just becomes another element of New York City's crime scene.
He pulls a Bart Simpson. He's like, I'll do anything for money. I'll lick the rail. Does Lamar like, oh, this is a poor choice.
I do remember that. I can't remember that scene specifically, but yes.
Well, everyone's reunited, and Mom and Kevin are there, and Kevin and her both apologize. They hug and they make up. We do see a cutscene of just the best detective work I've ever seen in my life. Mr. Duncan is at the toy store. Some random police Joe is like, hey, looks like some kid left a note. It was just a kid. No, I'm wearing gloves. We need to examine this. He just takes it off with a rubber band and hands it. Doesn't even fully read it. Just hands it to Mr. Duncan.
Well, also, like, this is the Sticky Bandits have been apprehended. This is noted in this scene.
Yeah.
There are cops everywhere. And this is the first time they found the brick that broke the window.
And what
have they been doing there?
Also, wouldn't you be curious, like, why a kid did it? Like, maybe read the note before you give it to Mr. Duncan?
Nah, he doesn't care. They already found him. They don't give a shit. Case closed.
But
Yeah.
it's written on stationery from the plaza. It highlights, exactly who it's from. And Kevin highlights in the note, I'm sorry, but he had to do this. He would still pay for the window. And Mr. Duncan goes, Mike, you could say it.
Turtle doves.
And Mr. Duncan then proceeds to send Kevin and his family what would probably be from like an FAO Schwartz-esque store. I don't know, $25,000 of toys.
Oh, yeah, maybe more.
More than what Marv and Harry stole.
Right. And just remember, Kevin ordered some room service that we noted before, and the people are going to be pissed off about this. So the next morning, everyone wakes up. Well, it's actually, Kieran Culkin. It's Fuller. He did not wet the bed, and he wakes up, starts drinking some Coke, and he's dancing around, and he tells Kevin that Santa's omnipresent, and you got to believe, and they go into the second story of the penthouse they're given, and there is $25,000+ of wrapped toys that apparently no one, a family of 50 staying in this penthouse, did not hear people dolly in gifts and a tree, and amongst other things, and they start dishing out gifts. Buzz gives a rousing speech that Kevin should go first.
This is one of my favorite moments in this movie, and it's a real quick throwaway gag. When Buzz tries to get everyone's attention by doing like the finger in the mouth whistle, he just goes like, and they don't focus on it. It's just real quick. I don't know. That kills me every time I see it.
Yeah, he fails every which way. He's like, everyone, stop with this gooey show of emotion. And he highlights that, if Kevin didn't screw up so royally, bonehead, we wouldn't have this awesome room and this awesome penthouse and a truckload of gifts. So Kevin should open the first gift, but then I should go and everyone else. And who knows how those gifts are being divvied up. But Kevin is about to open a gift and thinks, I'm going to go visit the pigeon lady. Mm-hmm. and gives her a turtle dove. What's this? She says. And as Collin noted, if it's not pigeon related, she does not know anything about anything.
She only knows one kind of bird.
It's pigeon. Yeah. And he explains the rules of pigeons that are turtle doves. That I have one, you have one, I'll never forget you. Oh, Kevin. And they embrace. But then Cedric, Rob Schneider, delivers a bill to the hotel, and it's Buzz. And it's a bill for $967.43. And just remember, they're staying in a penthouse that's 2 floors. It'd probably be, I guessed, $8,000 a night.
Yeah, in 1992 standards.
Yeah. Which was insane. And this kid was missing. Who cares? Like, he's like 13 years old. He spent $100 or $1,000 on room service. I know that's insane, but he's not dead. So, and everyone's staying in like free and getting free stuff. I don't know. It's crazy. But I'm sure the pigeon lady's super, super happy that Kevin has to run
she'll
off.
never see Kevin again.
Like, hey, I'm staying in the Plaza Hotel. I got a truckload of gifts. We're getting free food. I'll never see you. I know you have no food, no place to stay. Take it easy. Turtle doves. Peace out. Kevin, you spent this on room service. They run off, and that's the end of the movie.
Do you know? Okay. The Royal Suite at the Plaza Hotel. Guess what it costs now per night?
I'm going to guess $10K.
Keep going.
Hold on.
Holy shit.
20K?
Is it $17,000?
No,
keep going.
Jeez,
30.
a night?
Keep going.
Wait,
Too high.
42.
Time out. Is this like? Are you looking at tonight, like next week, like December?
No, just like average cost.
This is average
42.
cost.
It is 40.
Oh my God.
It's 40 a night for the Royal Suite.
Wow. All right. Well,
Wow.
And this article's from 2018, so maybe more now.
Wow.
Kevin was really
wow.
really living it
And
up.
no pool. Fucking
no-
assholes.
Well, before we leave off this holiday season on all of these joyous things, remember, please, hopefully all of you are having a good time. Hopefully when this airs, it is a white Christmas type setting in Denver, Colorado, and where you live. Hopefully everyone is doing well. Reach out to us, rabbittroopsuckspodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up if you have some movie suggestions. You want to chat movies. You want to hear Mike's isolated vocals. You want to hear about our merchandise, stickers, shower curtains, skateboards, any of these things. Or go to rabbittroopsucks.com and you could see all those things and links and pictures and all that stuff. Or go to Instagram and Facebook. We have sites on both. So, yeah, how did everyone feel? I feel we have to start with Collin. Collin, what did you think about Home Alone 2?
Yeah, I had a super good time. I really liked it a lot. During this discussion, I did realize that it absolutely is one of those movies that you can't actually think about it in any which way.
Oh, no.
But if you just sit down and enjoy it, you're going to have such a good time. It was super fun.
Hell yeah. I'm glad to hear it. So, as someone who liked Home Alone 1, do you feel it's comparable? Do you like this one better, worse?
I think it's probably a little bit better. I think, it has the same elements that make Home Alone great, where, Kevin is just like a very normal person. Everyone else around him is kind of an idiot. So you kind of, like, as a kid watching this movie, you feel like the kids get the one up on the adults. And the sequel just has a little bit more where, as, a kid exploring New York, he gets to have these, like, one-on-one moments with, the toy store owner and pigeon lady, and maybe they could have thrown a John Candy scene in there at the tree before the mom comes in. That could be your third moment. And this would have been, and that would have been great. But I think that really makes this just a super fun romp.
Yeah, for me, this totally holds up. It's crazy that I saw this movie in 1992, sitting next to Jeremy, and him and I had already seen it. I mean, it was like a movie that was out for a few weeks or whatever, and like most kids had already seen it. I probably saw it the first time with Jeremy, and then saw it a second time in school with Jeremy. I have a lot of fun with this. John Williams' soundtrack is a huge pull for me. It's weird that I'd be like, Christmas score, but it's just done so well. John Williams is amazing. John Williams forever. I think this movie's a lot of fun. This is where this franchise should have totally stopped, and now it's just clearly like a cash grab. I'm glad Macaulay Culkin didn't do a third part. I don't feel there needs to be any more parts. This movie for me is like an odd sequel that just worked. I also have a lot of fond memories that one of my friends and I bought this movie at a flea market in Alabama, And me and my friend just watched it during the summer over and over and over again. Weirdly enough, that we just watched it all throughout a summer. Then clearly I watch it for every Christmas. But yeah, total fun.
Who's next?
I'll go next because I wanted to mention something that you mentioned, Paul, in your analysis about John Williams. Love John Williams as well, but I feel his presence in this movie is not as big as it was in the first or any other of his movies. And I feel like in this movie, they really shoved in a lot of the classic Christmas rock movies, songs like Jingle Bell Rock. Yeah. It's Christmas all over. Tom Petty. You get It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas. There's a lot of filler Christmas songs in this movie, and I don't know why that is, but it makes it feel different than Home Alone 1, where Home Alone, the original, was a lot more John Williams. You get some significant and signature.
Well, you remember he directed that children's choir song. So
that's right.
So,
I know what you mean.
That's the big replacement. I feel that you get Starlight.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I love that.
Yeah, so that's like a huge new song, and it's done in 3 or 4 different ways. You hear part of it, then you hear more of it as a song, and you hear more of it as a score. So don't rule those scenes out. One thing I do want to note. Sorry, I don't want to cut off. Is one thing that I thought of, like the music. There's a transitional scene where Tim Curry finds out that Kevin's credit card is stolen. Kevin's watching The Grinch, and The Grinch has this huge smile, and then it fades into Tim Curry smiling. And you're like, it looks good. But then he opens his mouth and shows his teeth, and you're like, wow, this transition is awesome.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yeah. That was a great transition.
Yeah. I mean, Tim Curry's amazing. I asked Collin if he knew Tim Curry, if he had like a favorite, and Collin said Clue. Clue is a huge movie for
Clue's
my life. And
awesome.
My wife and I have Clue on like in the background in so many different times. We love Tim Curry. We love that movie. I would gladly do that movie. Clue would be a great movie. For
that would be fun.
We talk about the endings and how we felt about them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This movie's iconic. I can't add more to my analysis of this except that in comparison, when I summarize this movie, I'm kind of doing it in comparison to the first one. I can't just review this movie as just a movie on its own. It's compared to the first one. And during my 19th viewing of this movie with you guys, or with some of you guys, my first with some of you, my second, third, I don't know, whatever, I changed. I gotta go with Home Alone. The first one is the better movie.
Okay.
I love this movie a lot, and for years I said, "Man, they really upped the game on it," and they have in a lot of aspects. But as a whole, as a Christmas movie, the feelings, like the Catherine O'Hara and Macaulay Culkin connection.
Oh yeah, it's much stronger in
It's stronger in the first one, and I feel like that's an important part with a Christmas movie like this. Even though it's Home Alone, it's slapstick. It's Kevin McCallister killing 2 burglars, which is where this movie succeeds. Where the first movie, it didn't fail. I mean, it was a success. This movie ramped up the insanity and violence, but I feel like the heart of Home Alone is in the first one. And I like the first one a little bit more, but the second one, the violence, you gotta love it.
Yeah.
And I like one more thing before I toss it up. I like that he's in New York, and it's supposed to be about he's lost in New York, but it's not like a New York movie. They don't pinpoint like every. What am I saying? Like every,
he's like not going to like a baseball.
Yeah,
game.
He's not going to Yankee Stadium or Statue of Liberty. He's not going to all the sites. He's just, you get the sense that he's lost in a big city, but he doesn't have to go to
Rays.
Famous original Rays.
He's lost in the sense that his parents don't know where he is.
Yeah,
but, like he seems to know where he is.
They did 30 Rock and Central Park, but you don't need like specific street corners and all that. Like, oh, he's here. He's just lost in a big ass city, and I feel like they captured that a lot. I love this movie. It's just not as good as the first one for me upon my 100th viewing.
Jeremy, what do you think?
Jeremy.
So I really love the Home Alone 1 and 2 franchise, and that's kind of where it sticks for me, even though there are other Home Alones out there that were done, outside of what made Home Alone great. I like the first one and the second one for their own merits. The first one, I mean, they're both the same movie. The first one, he is in his house and you don't get these like sweeping camera angles and some of the cinematography that you get out of the second one. But I also liked the originality of the traps of the first one and how they kind of fit in with the overall theme of the movie. The second one, I love the setting of New York. It plays out as if it's the house from the first one. I love the cinematography of the second one. But I thought that like the traps at the end were very rushed and just like we have to put traps in this. It's Home Alone 2. So there's that. But I can't say that I like one over the other. I think they're both the exact same movies and they both have their own merits that they can stand on. But I really enjoy the Home Alone movies. I know that we goof on any movie that we do on this show. And there's always things to goof about movies because that's exactly what they are. They're movies. They're somebody's imagination put to screen. But I really enjoy both these movies, and I'm glad that we got to review one. I doubt we would do it. I think this is the farthest away from what our genre as a podcast will get because everybody has seen this movie except for Collin.
well, now it's just a holiday gift. We just have to.
Okay, so you guys are all
gave us the nuts.
Really into Home Alone 1 and 2, and there's 30 of these movies.
Yeah, well, you don't need to watch anymore.
Yeah. Have you seen them though?
I've seen the majority.
Yeah.
You'll still watch them if they come out with a new one. You might give it a shot, even if it sucks.
Yeah, like more like background, like not like as like a I'm gonna sit down and like really watch this, but like
I've never seen any of the other Home Alone.
Lamar and I watched part 3 like 20 years ago while we're doing other stuff.
Yeah.
So like, and it was not good, and
no longer take this seriously.
Yeah, like I have no desire to go back to those movies. Like I've seen them. I would never go back like I do with Home Alone 1 and 2.
I only watched that because I think French Stewart was in it.
Yeah.
That movie is bananas.
Well, not to go too crazy with our super packed holiday deluxe double time episode. Mike, what did you think? Home Alone 2.
Yeah, I love this movie. I know at the beginning I said I think this is the better of the two. I'll retract that and say I think it's my favorite of the two to watch. But like I'm going to watch both of them every year anyway. But if I have to watch one of them twice, it's probably going to be this one.
Oh, I'm going to watch this movie again, totally.
I just think it's like it's kind of more. It's like Alien and Aliens. They're both great, but like if I got to pick one to put on, I'm putting Aliens on.
Right.
You know.
I like that.
Right. So yeah, this movie just the brutality of the traps at the end really gets me. Yeah, I mean the scenery is great. Kind of his being on his own, figuring things out is kind of fun. And I think when I was a kid, when I saw this like as a child, this was more fun for me because it felt like more of an adventure than just kind of I don't know, being trapped somewhere. So I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I honestly think that this could have been a trilogy of a franchise in that you're a kid at home alone in a mansion. Mm-hmm. Then you're a kid like alone in like a big city.
Part 3
and then they
country.
They could have been like internationally, like a different like a country. Like he gets trapped in like North Korea.
In this movie, finally he's in Paris. Mm-hmm. Mm. There's all this Paris talk.
Yeah,
number one, half the family's in Paris, so he gets separated. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. No, that'd be cool. Yeah, I mean, I do think the first one was probably a better made movie. And obviously it was more original. And going back to John Williams, that scene in the first one where he's at the church and the bell rings and he realizes what time it is and like the music transitions.
The conversation with the old man?
Yeah, but like when that music transitions from like kind of low key Christmas music to like that, like that scene still gets me fucking amped up.
Yeah, every time like a scene of urgency.
Yeah, every time I hear that music, I'm like, fuck yeah. And like there's no real scenes like that for me in the second one. But even so, like the second one is just, it's a little more zany. Rob Schneider, Tim Curry is great.
The massacre of the burglars is just way better.
The fucking bricks. Yeah. There are so many scenes in this movie that I still like. I lose it at.
Have we talked about the electrocution scene? We
touched on it a little bit. Yeah, the electrocution scene, the brick scene. God, there's so many moments that I like. LOL, genuinely in this movie. And that just after seeing it so many times, it always gets me.
Well, I think the best way to leave off with this movie is one of the reasons I was so delighted that we're going to cover this is this. I know, Collin, that you said, you don't watch a lot of Christmas movies, but more Halloween, and I get it. For me, movies like Home Alone 1, Home Alone 2, you got Christmas Vacation, you got A Christmas Story, you got a couple other newer movies on the list as well. Mike and I have a philosophy with a lot of films and how we view Christmas. Christmas doesn't have to be extraordinarily extravagant. It's not about all of this money. It's about always like a shared experience, good times. It's one of the reasons I said, like in 2020, Lamar and Mike and myself, shared some whiskey. We ate some pie. My wife got like a moment of reprieve. We got to see each other. Like that's such a memorable moment for me. And that's why I love these Christmas movies. Like, you could be anywhere and just be like, I remember for me personally, I remember all of my family watching Home Alone together, laughing about this around the holidays, various other things. So it's kind of like a time capsule that I like to, remember some good times for the holidays. And it's not like this expensive experience. You load up Home Alone and it's like loading up a memory. It's like one of the same reasons I like having some of the same drinks, some of the same food over the holidays. So it's one of the reasons we love covering movies. But as Jeremy noted, this movie is like so far removed from what we normally do, but some people haven't seen it, but it was just a ton of fun talking about it. That's the real present. We're going to continue on with presents to ourselves with next week, the last movie of the year. We're back with Schwarzenegger, 1999, End of Days. Is it the end of days? Will there be more days?
There's only one way to find out, listeners.
Yeah. Next time.
Happy holidays, everybody. Guys, I have presents for all of you, so off air we could open some presents.
Are they the nuts of the season?
Everyone's getting some nuts of the season.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for listening. This extra long episode. Have fun. We just, we just really appreciate all of you listening and all of you who have written us online, on social media, emails, stuff like that. Keep it up. We just love doing this. We loved watching this movie. End of Days will be fun, and we have some movies lined up for 2024, which is crazy to say. But yeah, we'll be back with you. Guys, I got some presents. Happy holidays. As always, Rabbit Troop sucks.
Suck brick.
RTS
Sucks.
Suck brick, kid.
Howdy do. Oh.